Chief Gross, Fort Rucker, Alabama. Where do you see talent management in the next 10 years versus the last 10 years?
Yeah, so I think that's kind of the buzz phrase, of course. Now, the talent management task force worked for me for a little bit, and I got rid of it because my boss said I couldn't handle it. So, not really, but so the AIM is a good example. So, the secretary said he wants to reduce PCSs. That's a really difficult thing because it's easy to say we don't want people moving around as much. If somebody's got to go to Korea, somebody has to go to wherever it is, Korea, Qatar, Fort Drum, Fort Polk, Fort Bliss, or wherever it is that people don't want to go. People have to do rotations, all that kind of stuff. But AIM is the first step. So I'd be curious if any of you guys had feedback on what your AIM results were. Again, this is market-based assignment system, which is like complete anathema to the Army. So I don't know what we'd like to do, of course, is send more people to graduate school, do all those sorts of things. So here's some things that we're looking at for talent management. This applies on the NCO side, also applies on the officer side. For instance, so forever our promotions have been you get selected for promotion and the person with the most time in service gets promoted first. So it's been that way since World War II, I think, or maybe before. All right, so now what we're looking at is, and it'll start with the NCOs, is we will do OML-based promotions. So if you were the person that had the highest board, and then you guys probably do it this way, if you had the highest board score on the OML, then you're promoted first, and on down the line. And we'll do a similar thing for the officers. We will probably ask Congress for permission for you guys, and this is more of an officer thing because of year groups, to opt out, to say, you know what, I'm going to start a family, I'm going to take 2 years off, I'm going to start a family and get my PhD in astrophysics while I'm gone. Well, under the current system, you're penalized because you're still going to get considered for whatever it is, major, lieutenant, colonel at the same time. The opt-out provision, which you can't do now because of the Defense Officer Personnel Management Act, you can't do that. So this will allow you to say, I'm going to pull myself out of year group 2008, I'm going to take two years off, and then I'm going to reinsert myself after I'm done with whatever I'm going to do to stay on the same timeline and be competitive for promotion. So that is another example. What else? Ordinal promotion. So the concern on the officer side with, we will probably have more cross-pollination between Guard, Reserve, and Army. So this is a historically very difficult problem, is how do you move across components effectively? And so they're trying to find ways to make that process more efficient so that you can move from one component quickly without having 2 months of not having a job or whatever it is. They'll do that as well. Anything specific on talent management? Trying to think of anything. Anything else you can think of, Sergeant Major? Oh, no. Yeah, so that's a good example. So in IPSA, on the officer side, and I think it's for the same for knowledge, skills, and behaviors. So right now, what do? We look at your file and say, hey man, he seems to have a good file. So good example. I got a list of 10 files. We're going to send somebody off to Harvard to get their master's degree. He's the #1 infantry officer in his year group. He's knocking it out of the park in every respect, XYZ, and got these great OERs. And then it's like, great. We call him and say, hey, we're going to offer you to go to Harvard. He's awesome. So then we start digging through his file, and we realize Smitty has a 2.1 GPA. He can't get into Northern region cooking school, let alone Harvard. He's a great officer, but he can't get into those schools. So that's just an example of we don't have information in the system now. So now we're capturing knowledge, skills, and behaviors in a series of assessment tools, some that we have, and then some that are being developed. And so all of that will then get considered, because right now none of that really gets considered. What gets considered is what's your education, what does your photo look like, what do your OERs look like, and then if it's something technical or specific. There may be something else, but it isn't all the other stuff. It doesn't say, oh, she spent 10 years in China as a child and speaks fluent Chinese. It doesn't say that anywhere in your record. Is just capturing all that kind of information, and that'll be true. So what that will be is the back of your soldier record brief or the back of your ORB. There will be all these areas that capture some of that self-professed data or some other data that we capture kind of thing. So, other questions?